Eliza Bleu was always going to be a topic of conversation. Now, did I think that she would be stupid enough to add gasoline on her own pyre? I didn't think she'd be that dim, but of course she had to take it to the next level by starting to censor people all over Twitter. And then all of it, just at the end of the day, ended up getting obfuscated when Timmy decided to, stick his little beanie bedecked dick into the entire pie and fuzzle it up for a bunch of people. It was good for business, but outside of that, exposing a blue-pilled simp or two or five or thousands along the way probably helped. In the long term, it sure as hell woke up a bunch of people that were maybe kind of already having issues with Tim and maybe looked at that Eliza Bleu. It's like, she's saying all the right things when it comes to, conservative, tradcon talking points, but there's something a little bit off here. So for that, I will be forever thankful for her waking up maybe more people, probably about still the same percentage. Like the people that think like us, everybody tuning into this video, I would say at best 10% of the population. It's real tough. It's real tough to find other like-minded folks. That's become just a little bit easier thanks to this story. So yeah, I was always going to talk about this because I'm a Tate supporter. Andrew, Tristan, when you listen to them in long-form content, or if you consume the clips, but you also know about the full context, all that stuff, it's a really difficult position holistically. Now, there might be some things that you disagree with, of course. Nobody agrees with anybody. Like, that's just such a stupid thing. I don't agree with everything that you said. It's like, I don't agree with everything that I said yesterday or the day before. Like, I already corrected myself, thinking that at the root cause and why Eliza Bleu ended up taken off as a talking point for so many people out there was because of the Twitter censorship. No. It was about this stuff right here. Filing a lawsuit for two liars. Like, if you've been following the Tate side of this stuff for a long time, you knew that the Moldovan girl and the US girl, who she's representing here, the two anonymous women, because unless it's the two girls, apparently, who nobody knows anything about at all, it sure as hell isn't Jasmina and Beatrice, who are supposed to be interviewed by Iron and Fresh in the gang when they get down to Dubai. I haven't heard anything and haven't seen any posts about anything that they're doing, but that interview is supposed to be taking place, so that'll be incredibly interesting. Might have to do an entire watch along on that one. I'll have to figure out how I want to approach that, because that'll be incredibly interesting. But if it's about the Moldovan girl, she's from UK. She was a stripper over in UK and tried to blackmail Andrew into 200,000 euros in a TikTok career. Then the Miami girl, the US girl, who was cheating on her boyfriend, got caught and said, "Help, I'm being held against my will." Like, we know the story. It's all cap. But Eliza was, we gotta stand with all women. It's a sisterhood uber alles, after all. Yeah, this was right at the beginning of the year, right? On the 2nd anniversary of the worst day in American history, right? On January 6th, announces the American lawsuit against Andrew Tate on behalf of two anonymous women. I hunted for this lawsuit. Wherever it materializes, it is still nowhere. Eliza continues to grift, bro. The last time that we talked about Tate, that was that Wednesday? I think it was Wednesday. Yeah, we talked about the new evidence that came out and call logs that the prosecution had that just showed that at least these two girls that Eliza's representing, they're survivors and they have authentic stories. Just like yours. They were plotting and set up the Tate brothers. They called the embassy. One of the girls, wasn't it the Miami girl who was in conversation with her mother and setting everything up? Mom, knowing that she's just a complete liar, saying you have everybody at the embassy worried about you for nothing because you didn't want to break up with your boyfriend. You just wanted to go get some foreign Tate dick. Like, what the hell's your problem? But those are the quality of people that Eliza likes to advocate and surround herself with. Authentic survivors. But one more thing before we leave Timmy Boy's site here. It's interesting. It's very interesting. He didn't want to touch on the low-tier internet drama. Just some celebrity e-girl online. What does she have to do with any of this stuff? You know exactly from his point of view. Outside of, just lamenting the fact that he couldn't get the views off of a Tate interview in studio. He didn't want to address the elephant in the room when it came to the censorship that was happening online, at least on Twitter, and that eventually morphed into YouTube as well. It's funny, he has an entire article about YouTube censoring journalists who exposed it only matters. It was about the Nord Stream 2 pipeline bombing, which I forget who casually announced it. I think I've seen it reported as Joe's casually announced it because, he's probably told not to say anything, but his dementia-riddled mind just can't keep things straight. But he only cares about censorship, or at least his website does. when it's a certain class of individual. Tim fights for the working man, huh? His organization is supposed to return journalism back to its independent, honest roots. Bro, you're just an elitist like everybody else that you want to rub shoulders with. Sad man. Sad man. But it's funny. It's kind of funny how these stories just all kind of layer on top of one another. Like, even over the past couple of weeks now, we can kind of do a post-mortem until she says something incredibly stupid and sparks all this stuff back off again. Very few, what was it, the Daily Beast article, and then the 3-part, and then the redacted 3-part, and then the edited 3-part, and then the addendum series that was run on Timcast. Nobody wanted to talk about somebody corrupting the Twitter 2.0, the free speech Twitter sphere. Nobody wanted to discuss that in mainstream media outside of, the one article that was out there. Okay, fine. Don't want to touch e-celebrities or anything like that. I understand. Somebody who has direct connections with Elon Musk. Don't want to touch on any of that stuff. But then you guys have the audacity to do all of the stuff regarding Tate. That's interesting, because we talked about, and I showed, what was it, the Guardian article, and then there was a couple of BBC UK, British Broadcasting, not the other one. Their write-ups, their articles. And then stateside, when the boys were snatched up, every outlet, misogynistic, disgraced influencer arrested on human trafficking and EPAR charges. It's like, okay, so you want to talk about that stuff. Why? Well, isn't it obvious? One side wraps themselves in all of the popular talking points, has the sob story to run cover with, has all the appropriate connections. And the other side, he's just the toxic, evil misogynist, self-professed misogynist, and he actually points out and provides substance and doesn't just simply claim to be doing good work, has tangibly improved the lives of many young men that are out there. Can't be having that, though. Need them back on that ideological plantation. But for the first time in a long time, we actually have words from Tate, which is in fact a good thing. Once again, shout out to the censored man for just compiling all of this stuff. Have no idea who this dude is. I don't think anybody does, but he's got all of the goods, and I really, really appreciate him for that. So, I should just, set this up before we go into it, right? Yeah, so breaking Andrew Tate's first statement made to investigators. Might be some translation errors. Yeah, fair enough. And yeah, if you want specifically from the Romanian website, it's from right there. But we got everything in print, and looks like he has screenshots from it, and it's translated, so we'll see. It's probably a couple grammatical errors, but if you've listened to enough Tate content like I have, you probably can peek his mannerisms and the way that he articulates himself, so we'll see if this is actually him, or it's through a mouthpiece. I understand the accusations brought against me, and I specify the fact that I am totally innocent. The girls never sent me money. I sent them money. Basically, I am a trafficked person in this case. Interesting. That kind of looks a little bit clunky, but that would probably be in reference to I didn't take all the girls' money. I paid them appropriately for the work that they committed. Okay, fair enough. I understood that there were discussions between the girls, but considering that I don't know the Romanian language, only speaks English, I don't know what the reasons were. This is what the famous influencer claimed before the investigators. All right. I'll just go full screen on this boy right here for everybody. I saw Aliona and greeted her 3 times in my life, but each time in the occasions of some of the parties, my brother knew her for a long time, but I didn't know what the connection was between them. Georgiana is our assistant and cleanup. I would imagine that that's probably a bit of a mistranslation, because every time that I've seen Georgiana referenced, it's the personal assistant of Andrew. I have no idea what's on my nurse's phone, my vet's, etc. It's none of my business. Yeah, that seems a little bit clunky when it comes to translation, but it could be wrong on that. I read the file, and there are many missing links. The fact that I caught in bed with another man. Aliona. It's the Moldovan UK stripper girl, okay, in bed with another man, that she's always asked me for money. Yep, no, here it is. That she had several business ideas, such as a cafe, a beach club, and that she wanted to become famous on YouTube and TikTok. We've seen that as well, and that's even come out during her own interview with BBC. As for her ideas, I told her to do what she wants to keep the money. That I'm busy most of the time. She was in Romania, but I was not in the country. We have evidence that she used to blackmail men. No, you're telling me a stripper has a shady past? Come on. In exchange for sums of money. Basically, any discussion that could be characterized as negative with Aliona was because she was always asking for money. I knew her from London. She worked in a nightclub and had drug problems. And if we're going to keep it a buck, that's an L for Andrew for flying her out if he knew all of this stuff beforehand. Like, we got to keep everybody accountable in these situations. It's like, she's a stripper, red flag right there. And then she has drug problems? Oh, Lord, what are you doing, dude? The girl Andrew Tate refers to is the one who accused him of EPAR. Oh, interesting. The stripper with a drug habit who has a history of blackmail, who we found out in the wiretaps that were released was coordinating with the U.S. girl as well to run a scheme and call the embassy and set everybody up. How adorable. Consider me shocked. She told me she wanted to come to Romania, and when she came to Romania, I wasn't even in the country. I don't remember if I paid for her plane ticket. She lived for about 2 to 3 weeks in Romania. Later, he invited himself to live with me in the house. That right there, yeah, that's got to be a translation error, or we're figuring out something about this UK stripper that she might have had a little extra, if you know what I mean. Which I did not agree to because I didn't want him to spoil my reputation in Romania. Must be her. Okay, she later invited herself to live with me in the house, which I did not agree to because I didn't want her to spoil my reputation in Romania. That would make a little bit more sense. Okay, then I introduced Georgiana to her as my nurse and to turn to her for any problems as she has, even though I knew that Aliona does and that she uses drugs. Ooh, Andrew. Sorry, bro, but you know better than anybody else. Don't deal with girls on drugs, okay? Jeez. I agreed to see her out of stupidity. It was the biggest mistake of my life. Hey, personal accountability for that one. I wish I had like an air horn sound or something like that to play, but that's what we know about probably the most prominent accuser, if we're going to keep it a buck. But as for dissecting the other evidence that's out there, once again, shout out to Suleiman Ahmed. The guy is going and working overtime for all of the nefarious reporting, all of the just really stupid hyperbolic reporting from the other side on this. Oh, look what he tweeted out there. Wow. How are you going to confirm human trafficking or sexual assault on a Twitter account, on a publicly available account? Oh, you're self-snitching. Bro, there's no evidence that's on there. Like, this is shit that he was saying everywhere that he was going. Like, you can even go back into the Timcast article. It just even says, it's like, okay, per Business Insider, Tate has been very open about his webcam business. Yeah, and if you would have listened to that entire Fresh and Fit episode last year, claiming on the Fresh and Fit podcast last year, that's in reference to when they taped that episode. That would have been December of 2021. Yeah. That he was earning $600,000 a month from 75 female webcam models. You know when that was happening? 2016, 2017, around that time. They scaled it down considerably, and Tristan was running a OnlyFans management firm for a hot second. Him and, everybody else that's behind all of the most successful OnlyFans account. Okay, you might have a distaste. Oh, that's pimping, and you're profiting off of sex work. Listen, if you're not going to do it, somebody else is, okay? If you're not going to be putting those girls on the track, they're going to be doing it themselves. But the full court press, when it comes to disparaging Andrew and Tristan, Georgiana, and Luana, everybody who's been snatched up by the Romanian authorities, they are all too willing to put out all of the bad stuff. Oh, their appeals have been denied. Oh, their stay has been extended. Oh, they continue to just snatch up all of the supercars at the Romanian compound. The compound that's less like a luxurious mansion and more like a butcher shop outside of everybody else who's ever been to the place that has taken video, pictures, stayed there for weeks at a time, that says that, that's just flat out wrong. So who even knows what they're talking about? So they are more than willing to just disparage the Tate name. But when it comes to the release of the wiretaps from a couple of days ago, everybody's been kind of silent on that, or just trying to downplay it as like, well, if you interpret it another way, shut up, crab man. Nobody cares. Some guys are just fucking bitch made. If you can't even put your face, you can't even put a moniker, your real name in some form or fashion out there. I don't care, man. You got to have some skin in the game in order for me to take you seriously. So, because mass media doesn't want to do it, well, Suleiman did, and I'm just going to go ahead and try to... I don't think that he's going to be leaving too many blanks in the story here. He's a fairly thorough journalist. But for the benefit of everyone who cares, well, kind of interested. MSM. I like to call it mass media because mainstream media, is it really the mainstream anymore? I think that kind of affords them a little bit of an authority that they don't really have, and there's no uniqueness. Like, what's actually the difference between NBC, CBS, ABC, nothing really at all whatsoever. So I think mass media is a much more appropriate moniker for the slop that we're supposed to be fed, but you can turn that away fairly easily now and just seek alternative and independent, actually independent, not corporately owned and operated like Young Turks on the left or Daily Wire on the right. But anyways, mass media have positioned themselves that they control the narrative, and through its agents, they silence critics. They say and do what they want. If you respond to their lies or inaccuracies, you are accused of endangering their lives. Yeah, get fucked. The BBC produced a documentary with many errors/flaws. There was meant to be a debate. Oh, interesting. Because the last time we went through a thread from Suleiman, he was going back and forth with another journalist that was out there, and he's like, no, you're lying. He's like, shut up. I produced 2 threads to expose their terrible journalism and or misrepresentation. After my thread with BBC journalists dropped out to the debate, claiming their lives had been threatened. Oh, it's incredibly sad to hear that there has been a serious threat to violence against 2 different teams. Picture it didn't happen, stupid. Okay. But they laid the foundation of silencing their critics using claims of abuse much earlier. Of course, that's always their go-to. Help, I'm under attack. My life has been threatened. I've been swatted. And it's like, okay, cool. It's the same tactic whether you're right or left. Cowardice. If you know you're coming correct, you have nothing to fear. They said that one of their producers was abused. Online abuse. Ugh. Well, this is the UK after all, and you can't spell cuck without UK. Although the comments are unacceptable, they are a far cry from real threats or even cancellation I have received. Look at these Tate monsters. Oh, that's kind of disparaging the other way now. Aren't you attacking other people? Did to my super talented producer, Haley. It always seems to be women who always come forward with these claims. I don't know, man. Obviously single and touching 40, so is desperate to get any gig, going to boost her self-esteem and credibility. Probably harammed. Okay, her way into the BBC, if you know what I mean. Yes, super haram. She's childless and going to be going through menopause soon. So with a bit of luck, she'll not have any children. Misogyny to point out biological realities. Oh well, sucks to suck, I guess. But see, that's the low level. It's like, help, I'm being attacked. God, there's somebody who's popular over on this side of the internet that likes to victim post her life in order to get attention, and it just makes me sick to my stomach. But you know, I wish her nothing but the best, but it's going to be tough to start a family at 36. I told them I believed they dropped out of the debate after I published my thread, as they feared being held to account for their baseless claims. The apologist, Sam Twitt, then, via multiple Twitter posts, claimed I was against free speech and inferred I condoned violence. What are you talking about? One of the things I found alarming is how quick you are to dismiss a journalist receiving threats of violence against their families. Is that free speech? Bro, where was any violence that was there? Outside of saying that she slept in order to get her position, and that she's an empty egg carton, there's no violence there at all whatsoever. I'm unsure if Sam can't comprehend or as willingly abuses the notion of free speech to protect corporate media from criticism. We all know it's the latter. Absolute free speech is about saying what you want. That's absolute, but by the letter of the law, it's... Here's the fun little caveat. The truth is an absolute defense against defamation. Ergo, true speech is free speech. So your critics can say what they want about you, however displeasing or uncomfortable their words are. Noam Chomsky, who is an interesting character. If you don't believe in freedom of expression for people we despise, we don't believe in it at all. Yeah, of course, and you've seen this earlier today. I don't like Lauren Southern. I think that she's a chameleon. I think that she's bad for any cause that she attaches herself to, but her parents getting yeeted off of Airbnb is a totally stupid move, okay? Jeremy from The Quartering kind of showed himself to be a cuck in this entire situation whenever Sydney Watson filed her grievance shakedown of the Blaze. Hey, we need to support women and, you know, addressing root cause problems. That's just evil and misogynist. I'm just gonna go chill out in a Mexican beach for a minute. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Good work in what you did with the Eliza Bleu stuff. You released the 2 threads, which were incredibly informative and really good work. I'd give you your flowers for that, but then you show your true colors, and well, if you've known anything about him, he's always been terrible with women to begin with. Like, he married the first girl that he dumped a load in. Like, oh my god, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But if you're gonna opine while the likes of Andrew Tate and the so-called manosphere are so evil, wrong, and misogynistic, well, you should also stop hanging around and palling about with some people that throw around those terms like their dinner orders. Anywho, second mode of silencing used by Sam Twits to stop any criticism of the corporate media was claims that I condoned violence. Yeah, commenting about the BBC dropping out. The form of blackmail is common. If you criticize the mass media, you are accused of condoning some type of violence. What are you doing? Your response to journalists having their lives of their families threatened was that you were cowards afraid to debate you. Oh my god, this is why debate bros are so stupid. Debate me. Oh, okay. Help, I'm being attacked. Wait, what? No, you're a misogynist. Wait, what? Skipping ahead a little bit. The phenomenon isn't new, as Glenn Greenwald, the guy who helped expose the Edward Snowden story, so a good journalist that's out there, not just some hack from the BBC, has written many articles. He highlighted how silencing critics was deployed against Bernie Sanders in 2016. Yeah, Bernie Sanders was cheated. I guess it's documented and it's proven, but then he also cucked out and bought another, retirement home and then ran again. I once again come to you for support. In 2020, yo man, this is what socialism is. It'll never go anywhere because it relies on enough lazy tards with empty pockets in order to prop up an obviously corrupt system. Anywho, pointing all this stuff out is very important. Case in point, we all remember the award-winning performance by Taylor Lorenz when she claimed the online abuse had caused her PSD. Yeah, that was right after, oh my lord, that's coming up on a year now, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff, after she was out there doxing the likes of that Umbrella guy, Libs of TikTok account. Like, yo, what are you doing out there? Help, I'm being attacked. Perpetually playing the victim in order to obfuscate from the truth so you don't have to address, oh yeah, you know how we went like full court press against that Andrew Tate guy and called him a misogynist and a human trafficker and he's all of these terrible, evil things? Yeah, all of the evidence that the prosecution was using is kind of fabricated and they knew it was bullshit the entire time, but they continued to go forward with everything. Yeah, so according to Sam Twits, it's fair game to make insinuations of sex crimes and pedophilia, when this would put Tate in mortal danger in the Romanian prison. But don't say any mean words to mass media representative Paul Kenyon. Basically, they can say anything, but you can't respond. No, exactly. They're the authority. They're the experts. You can't question the experts. You have to walk in lockstep. That's what big tech taught you all about in these past 3 years. It's making a little more sense why the Tate brothers were getting snatched up because of their anti-authority slant. Studies show those accused of sex crimes are at more risk of assault in prison. BBC, mass media, and Sam can attack an imprisoned black Muslim, but they are the ones in danger. Of course, man. There's the link out to that. Research shows prisons are hell for those accused of pedophilia. Well, yeah, if you're convicted. Well, not saying that's a bad thing, but, BBC likes to report, but are too scared to debate. Continues to throw out different sources. Oh, yeah. A recent example of this is when mainstream media were up in arms as Elon Musk suspended journalists, giving his location in real time, and then they all had this big spurg out, and it was beautiful to see because finally censorship was being applied to those who advocated for it for so long. But that whole amnesty thing amnesty was granted to those idiots not but 24 hours later. And then there was the big mass exodus from Twitter, and then most of them just came crawling back because there's no other platforms that really have any relevance. Then Elon Musk has just kind of been just an odd cuck ever since, so who really knows? Mass media didn't care and were willing to delete a tweet tracking his private plane. Journalists were unhappy, those in power. Musk said all they need to do is delete the offending tweet, as they were not really suspended. Oh my god, so they were just playing the victim card once again. BBC corporate media must revel about the fact that people of their ilk of Sam give them credibility to attack or destroy anyone they can't respond to. You can speak, you cannot. Your facts oppose my agenda, so you're cancelled. If you ignore this tyranny, a dark future awaits us. Absolutely. That's the end of the thread right there. And it's pretty important to lay that out as to why there's just been no reporting at all whatsoever. Oh, there's a grassroots support for Tate on places like Twitter where you can actually have decent conversations about that. But anybody talking about any of the pro-Tate evidence that's out there, it's immediately drowned out by a bunch of human trafficker allegations. It's an easy label that you can apply to somebody, something that you can just levy out there with zero consequence. This is everything that Me Too, Believe All Women, Time's Up was all fomented on. And now they can just go ahead and attach it to somebody who is the most Googled man on planet Earth. Label him take his entire, generally speaking, positive message for young men that's out there, take it, fold it up, and throw it into the garbage. But I can tell you what, I am not going to let that happen. And chances are, if you're listening this long, you're not going to let that happen either. So, until we have any more evidence about the Tates, still, guess what? Haven't seen anything that would lead me to believe that anybody of the 4 that are there are guilty of a single damn thing. Anybody associated with the victims on the other side, the only ones that I'm looking at right now are the 2, because 2 of them want nothing to do with any of them, and they're going to be doing some interviews here really shortly. And 2 of them, I don't know, what do you got, Casper and Stay Puft Marshmallow Man out there? It's like you got ghosts. Nobody knows anything about them. But the stripper and the cheater, bruh. At least you got Eliza Bleu's back, so maybe discussion about Tate, maybe that'll be coming to an end, especially on Twitter very, very shortly. So, with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.